I think about the Chicago Bulls, I immediately think of a team that is in no man's land, and I'm not the only person that thinks like that. I don't know what actual Chicago Bulls fans think of, but it's hard to imagine they think otherwise. Now, I'm sure there's obviously a case to be made for some fans to think, you know, hey man, like, we have some winning players, we can turn it around. And honestly, like, I don't understand why they're not just focused on trying to get the best that they can for their future, because right now the Eastern Conference is stacked with talent, let alone the West. That's always good. And here they are fighting for a playoff spot and kind of like just in a place that you don't want to be, you know? Now, you could say they're in a good place in terms of they have a lot of trade assets. And that's kind of what I want to talk about quickly on this short video. It's funny how I opened the video with that, but then just last night, they beat Minnesota, right? Like, this is a team that's so capable of winning games, and they show it from time to time, you know? But there comes a time where you have to be realistic with where you are, where you're going, and making the right decision for the franchise, right? So the Bulls are currently 24-27 as I look at these standings, right? 9th in the Eastern Conference in the play-in race. Now, they have such good trade potential, right? Like, you look at a guy like Alex Caruso. I can't think of a team that doesn't want Alex Caruso, right? He has a ton of value. All you ever hear about when people talk about the Bulls is, oh, Alex Caruso this, Alex Caruso that, point of attack defender. He can score, he can put the ball down, get to the rim, make the right decisions. And yeah, you know, I mean, I'm surprised that he hasn't been moved yet. And part of that is probably because they believe in what this team can accomplish, which I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know what this team can accomplish. Like, yeah, they can be a tough team to beat in the regular season, but then when they get to these playoffs, even if they do make like the 8th seed or the 7th seed, which I don't think is going to happen, but I definitely think it's possible. I know this team is capable of that, but what's going to happen when they get there? They're not going to beat a Milwaukee Bucks team. They're not going to beat the Knicks or you know, the Cavs even. They're definitely not going to beat the Boston Celtics. So like, I am in complete favor of this team just blowing it up and getting everything they can for what they have. Alex Caruso aside, right? You have Demar Derozan, who, just looking at his contract situation, right? For anyone not familiar with what it looks like at the moment, he is going to be an unrestricted free agent after this season. So the Bulls could potentially lose him for nothing if they don't trade him by tomorrow. Now, there's a case to be made where he settles with them, right? And just agrees to a sign and trade, right? After this season. That's totally possible as well. DeMar seems like a loyal player. And I could totally see that happening. But again, you know, you risk kind of losing him for getting nothing back for him, you know, and that's always a very risky thing to do, especially if you have someone that's very valuable, in my opinion. This guy can get you offense in a half-court setting. He can get you that in transition. He is a really good free throw shooter. He gets a ton of free throw looks because he is an elite scorer. And he's right at that age where, you know, he's just not going to fit your timeline, right? Whereas he's going to fit a contender's timeline right now. So if I'm the Bulls, you know, unless I already know I'm going to sign him again, right? And then trade him down the line, you got to trade him either today or tomorrow. It's got to happen, you know? Like I said, unless they agree to a sign and trade, right? Unless they know something already that they're just going to sign and trade for him, sign and trade with him. So, you know, he's another guy that they can get things for, or guys for. I don't want to say things. Andre Drummond is another guy who has really good value. He's bumped his value a ton this season. He's a guy that a lot of Western Conference teams could really use. You know, you're going to run into Nikola Jokic. You're going to run into those Timberwolves, big teams. You know, maybe the Lakers if they make the playoffs. You're going to run into teams like that. And Andre Drummond's value is significant when you're thinking of those things. even in the Eastern Conference, because any championship contender that might see those nuggets, they could definitely use an Andre Drummond. I don't know what you could get back for him, right? But he definitely has some value that the Bulls can consider. Zach LaVine is done, right? You can't really get much for him. And then there's Nikola Vucevic, right? Now, let me look at his contract, right? Nikola Vucevic, right? He's got a couple of years on his deal, and he's a productive player. He's a winning age, right? Like he's as good as he's going to be at this age, right? And we can look at his really struggling from three this season. But, 17 points on 10 rebounds. He's also going to pass when he has to. 3.5 assists out of a center is actually good. 87% from the free throw line, so he knocks down his free throws. Good post scorer still to this day. He can knock down mid-range jumpers. Nikola Vucevic is another really valuable guy, right? 47% from the field. Not bad. Obviously the three-point percentage has suffered, but this is a guy that can really get his own. He can really help a contender, and if you trade for him now as a contender, you have him for another 2 years. So if it doesn't work out, you could always trade him again. I just think the Bulls have a lot to trade, and they can really benefit from this. I mean, I'm not the only person talking about the Bulls having to make these trades, but I do think it should happen today, today or tomorrow. This team can really look towards the future with some optimism. Kobe White, who's in consideration for being a most improved player. I don't think he's going to get it, but he has been awesome this year. The few times I've watched maybe 10 to 15 Bulls games this season on League Pass, and I am very impressed with Kobe White. I don't see enough people talking about him. And part of that is because he plays for a bad team, but man, you could really be positive thinking about the future for this team. You get a lot of draft capital. Maybe you get some young talent that you could tap into with these trades. And these guys could be right back in the mix in like 3-4 years. It's hard to sell that to a fan base that hasn't seen a lot of success recently, but where are you going? My whole point is if you are a sane general manager, you got to be thinking, guys, this has to end, no more mediocrity every season, right? It's going to suck to see a team with Demar Derozan and Alex Caruso. It's hard to see guys that are so good and fun to watch leave your team, especially when these guys are winning players. It's going to suck, but it is what it is. You got to let them go while they're valuable. You can't lose DeMar for nothing. You can't keep letting time pass by before Alex Caruso starts to, devalue, right, over time. He's as good as he's going to be. So the Bulls should look to do something. This was a quick video, not too much detail, but just a quick thought on these Chicago Bulls, where I feel like they really do have a lot on their hands. And I think fans should be optimistic, even if it's a rebuild. I know it sucks because every year it's like this mediocre line of, hey, we're good enough to make the playoffs, but even if we do make the playoffs, we're not even good enough to get out of the first round. So, it's something where you have to be realistic with yourself, and I'm a fan of watching Chicago Bulls games. I do enjoy watching the way these guys play, even when they lose. It is fun to watch them. Ayo Dosunmu deserves a little shout out too. I really like him as well. Super fast player. I don't know if he's one of the fastest players in the league, but he's also fun to watch. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one. This is the All Things Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Vic Lopez, as always. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.